Hello, I know I don't look the best right now. I'm in my PJs as I so often am. Hair looks a mess. What's new? I wanted to do the life update that I had promised in the last video. And if I could remember to show you, pictures of the things that I had finished crocheting recently. Maybe I'll remember at the end. So the life update I was going to tell you guys was that I left my job of almost 2 years for many different reasons, of which I want to talk about in this video. I don't work there anymore, so I can now. What are they going to do, fire me? I don't know if you guys knew where I worked. I'm pretty sure you did though, because I was always showing off their bags in my videos. Smart and Final, a grocery store, because retail is just what I am used to. It's what I'm good at. It's what I excel in, like customer service. And I just got fed up with everything that was going on there, so I left. And it really came down to being like a moral crisis is what it felt like, because I did not want to work there anymore. But I didn't want to be unemployed. I wanted a different job. And so now, not having a job for 2 weeks now, it sucks. It really, really stinks, but I am grateful that I'm in a position to where I could leave my job if I wanted to. I live with my parents, and both of them, knowing what I went through on a daily basis, they were both very supportive of me leaving my job if I truly felt that was what was right for me in the moment. 3 months of going back and forth of like, well, the cons are I won't have a job, and I have to pay my car insurance. That's the only bill that I have. My parents provide everything else, which is a very fortunate position to be in. I understand that. That I won't have a steady source of income. I won't have an income. That's the only thing that was like, well, okay, maybe I should stay. But then all the other stuff, the cons outweighed the pros of staying. Yeah, that made sense. Okay, so I won't get into like a lot of it, because it had come down to the point where it was like something every day that was just so like soul sucking is what it felt like. And I don't know if it's just like working in retail, because it wasn't the customers. A lot of people, that work in retail are like, oh, I hate the customers, all these selfish people. I love the customers, and I actually miss a lot of them. Also, like a lot of elderly people that came, in the like early afternoon, in the evening sort of time. Usually I work the closing shift, so from anywhere between 1:30 to 6 p.m. to 10 is when I would work. And that brings me to my first point, that I had put up with begrudgingly for 2 years, the most inconsistent schedule I've ever had in a workplace, where not only was the hours different every day, every week it was different days, and so I could never plan anything. My family, each of us at that time worked different schedules, so if we wanted to plan anything to do fun as a family, it had to be way in advance. And I just feel like that kind of takes all the fun out of it. Like, we can't just like on a whim, like, oh, we're gonna go to the beach today, just because. It has to be planned months and months and months in advance, and we all have to request time off, which I understand. That's the process, but I'm trying not to sneeze, I'm sorry. I am someone who, one of the things that I value most in a person, in an employer, in a company, is consistency, in scheduling, in people, like characteristics of people. I think consistency, I think it lends to like dependability, and so those two things kind of go hand in hand. And so not only was it inconsistencies in scheduling, it was inconsistencies between managers. And so I was getting in trouble by one manager for doing something that another manager had okayed, and I was like, that is not cool. You guys need to get on the same page, because these are store policies that I was trained to do, and I'm doing them, and you're getting me in trouble while that manager over there is saying that it's okay, and I don't want to be caught in the middle of that. You guys need to get on the same page, please. And they did not. one of the things I really have noticed working there in that kind of environment was like, we live in a society that enables people to be lazy. And I know a lot of people will say to me, well, take a look in the mirror, like, you're fat, so you don't have room to talk. Like, I acknowledge, one, that I am fat, I can see my own body, okay? Two, how I look does not discredit what I say, because I was the one out there, more often than not, busting my rear end to get those carts in for customers who were just pushing them all over the parking lot in whichever direction they so chose. Sorry, my back itches and I can't reach it. And it just really got on my nerves that these customers were just so lazy and entitled. And I understand, you know, we're there to like, for their convenience and to serve them, but nobody is entitled to our services. There are so many other grocery stores to shop in town, and it really just started to get on my nerves every time they would ask me to get carts, because it was like, not only customers pushing them all over the parking lot in every different direction they could think of, instead of like putting them where they go in the cart corral, it was customers seeing me get the carts, you know, like lining them all up to push them to the front of the store, walking past me and waiting in the front of the store until I brought them all the way up, and they're asking, oh, can I take one from you? I'm like, you parked right next to the cart corral. You saw me lining up the carts, getting them all straight so I could push them to the front of the store. You could have taken one from me as I was lining them up. You could have taken one out of the corral before I started lining them up. The way that they had them at the store was like, so like, imagine in the front of the screen is the store, okay, looking out of the store into the parking lot. There was two in the center aisles that faced each other, and then on the other side where the cars parked, there was two that faced like the outside of the parking lot, and then there was one like way over there, way over on the side in the boonies, and I would never go over to that one to get carts because there was hardly ever any in there. And then there was one like way on the other side of the parking lot, which the parking lot wasn't very big, so there was 5 lined up consecutively across the rows of cars, except for the 2 outliers on the sides. So there was ample space to put your carts, and people just didn't want to because they, you know, the good old, well, that's their job. I'm like, no, actually, cashier is my job. That's what my title is. That's what I get paid for. I don't get paid to leave my post at the register and come get these carts for you because you're too lazy to. And that is something that just really started to bother me, like beyond words could put into a sentence. And so that I dreaded it every day, and it was getting so dreadful. That's another word I can think of that accurately describes it. Every night before I would have to go to work, to the point where I'm not a very like anxious person, but to the point where I would get so anxious that I was getting physically sick thinking about having to go back to work. And so when it came down to the day that I left, I was scheduled to work that day, and I was in my room really heavily contemplating this, leaving or not. And I just had to be real with myself, and I was like, I know I can't force myself to go through another shift today or ever again. And so I just called the manager, and he was very rude about it. I just want to say, when I worked for Albertsons, I worked there for a month, and there was just some disagreements that caused me to leave. The manager there, after me working there for a month, was so much more kind to me when I called him and told him that, you know, like, unfortunately, this job is just not going to work for me, and I'm going to have to hand in my resignation today. He was like, oh, okay, can you come fill out these papers, and then we'll be good. At Smart and Final, that manager there is a jerk. And I don't work there anymore, so I can say this stuff without any liability. He's a jerk. Always has been. 2 years of working there, I have not liked him, and for this very reason. So when I called, I already don't like to talk on the phone, like personally like this. Obviously at work, if the phone rang, I would answer it. That's just part of the job, so I would do it. And we used them like to communicate within the store. We had like each different department had a phone, a landline that we would use to communicate with, so that was not an issue. But I called him. I'm not gonna say his name, that's weird. But I asked him, if I do say his name by accident, I'll try to bleep it out the best. I asked him, like, hey, this is Larissa, I have a very important question. if one was to, I already knew the process, I just wanted to ask, to like initiate conversation. How does one resign their position? And he's like, well, if you're putting in your 2 weeks, you fill out the paper, or are you leaving today? Okay, I'm gonna have to backtrack a little after I say this next sentence. And I like took a minute to think, and I was like thinking like I cannot force myself to go through another 2 weeks at this horrible job. And so I told him, honestly, because I believe honesty is the best foot forward, I am leaving today, and I thought that it would be better to tell you that I'm leaving instead of just disappearing like everybody else has. Because in the month that I left, he lost 3 employees. 2 out of 3, so I'm the only one that told them that I was leaving and not coming back. The other 2 just disappeared and nobody knew where they went. I called the manager and I told him, I'm leaving today because those other 2 had just disappeared. Okay, that was on the 5th. I don't have my schedule up anymore. Let's see, I could look here. I used to write my schedule down in a physical calendar. So I left on September 5th. That's the day I left. I do know that much. On Friday the 1st, I was scheduled 2 to 10. Before then, I had 1 day off before that scheduled. Anyways, it was just, like I said, dreading to go back so much that I was getting physically sick. And I genuinely was. I was up until like 6 in the morning the night before with like an upset stomach and just generally not feeling well. And so I called them when the store opened. The store opened at 6, so I called at 6:15 because I was still up at that point. And I said, I'm not gonna be coming in today. I don't feel very well. And the manager was like, okay, whatever. So then I finally managed to go to sleep. And then when I woke up, I was feeling better. So I know this is probably bad on my part to have later went shopping there with my mom, but I was feeling better. Like, am I not allowed to feel better? I know I probably shouldn't have, but I genuinely was feeling better. And I had already put in for sick hours, so was I supposed to like cancel my sick hours, call the store and be like, oh, I feel better now, do you still want me to show up to work? Like, no. Yeah, I wasn't gonna do that either. And so, we went shopping and then we left. And I knew the manager that was there, the one that I called out with, I knew she was gonna blab to the store manager that I was there, because they're all, I'm really sick of seeing in the workplace is cliques and like friend groups. Like, if we're supposed to operate as a team, everybody needs to be included in everything. That's what a team is, instead of cliques here and cliques there and people not liking people. When I worked there, there was 2 people there that almost did not speak to me the entirety of my tenure there at Smart and Final, unless they absolutely had to. I think I can count on one hand the number of times one of them spoke to me, like 4, I think. And I don't know if it was because he is a man or because he's a Mexican and I'm white and I'm a woman that he thinks he's like superior to me, or if it's something like that. I hope it's not, because that's stupid. But whatever, it's over now. Anyways, so when I was talking to the manager on the phone telling him that I was leaving, and I said I think honesty is the best foot forward, to tell you that I am leaving today and I'm not coming back and my shirt has a hole in it. He's like, yeah, or when you call out of work and then show up the same day shopping. And that caught me so off guard, because I had like forgotten about that, even though it was like 3 days ago. Then I was mad and I was like, so I'm quitting, so is that it? He's like, yeah, we'll call you when your last check's in, bye. And I was like, I don't really think you can afford to lose any more employees. If I was in his shoes, if roles were reversed, I would have been like, okay, I've lost 2 employees in the same week and I am losing a 3rd. I would have been like, is there anything I can do to negotiate with you to get you to stay? He didn't even, he didn't even try. He's like, okay, bye. And I was like, okay. So, yeah, that's the longest place I've worked though, almost 3 months shy of 2 years. So I did start to hate it, and it was everything else, like all the tedious stuff, the inconsistencies here and there, not the customers, I really loved working with the customers. That's what I enjoy. I enjoyed customer service. I didn't enjoy all this other crap that we had to do every day. And one other thing that I really hated was like at night, you know, we never had very many people. It was always like 2, 3 at the most. On a good night, a lucky night, we had 3 or 4 people. Maybe 5. Yes? Okay. And then, so we had this whole like bucket list of things we had to do. That's not what a bucket list is, but this whole list of like 12 things that we had to do before we closed the store. And it was never like a lot of hard stuff. It was just a bunch of small stuff to the point where it became too much in the time that we were allotted to do it. Does that make sense? Like I'm trying to see if I still have the list of stuff we have to do. Probably not. I think I threw it away. Like I could just tell you what stuff it was. It was like, you know, cleaning the registers, cleaning the floor, cleaning the bathrooms, cleaning the produce section, closing the blinds, filling up the coolers. Then the manager added on where he wanted us to face up all the frozen stuff. And it, like I said, it was never too much work because it was too hard. It's just because it was too much work for the amount of people that we had and the time that we were allotted to do it. And he just didn't care, and he just kept piling on more and more stuff. And that's why so many of us started to drop off, because we realized like we're not getting paid enough for how long we're having to stay after work and do all this stuff, even though we were getting paid, you know, like overtime. And then the manager started to crack down on overtime. Like, I can't give you guys all this overtime. You have to finish it in a certain amount of time. And it's just unrealistic. You know, there's only so much work at a time that 3 different humans can do in the store. And the store was like it wasn't small like a Dollar Tree, and it wasn't as big as a Walmart, but it's like medium sized. And it just there wasn't enough people for the amount of work, and there was too much work in the time we were allotted for it. So it just became unbearable, really, to work there. And I do feel bad that I didn't tell any of the customers that I was leaving, like the ones that I was kind of close to, or that I really enjoyed seeing, that made my days better. That I didn't tell them, like, you know, you're not going to be seeing me anymore because I'm not going to work here anymore. But you know, they're adults, they'll be all right. Plus, I still do go in there and terrorize them every now and then because it makes life worth living. And I don't even think they told a lot of the coworkers that I had left, because then when I went in there to shop the first time after I left, they're like, "Oh, you want to use your, you know, like your discount thing?" I'm like, it won't do anything. I don't work here anymore. And the lady, the one that I was in line with, she was like, "What? You don't work here anymore?" And I was like, "No, it's been like." At that point, it had only been like a week or so. So now I'm actively looking for a job again. And I pray this time that it's a job that I love, because I know, for one, I'm pretty young. I'm only 23. But I know, you know, for like the duration of my life, I can't just keep hopping from job to job to job. Once the newness wears off and the monotony sets in and it starts to be tedious, I can't just leave every time I want to do that. So I want to get somewhere that I enjoy being in, something that still, what I really wanted was like something still in customer service outside of retail. So like a receptionist maybe, or something in that vicinity maybe. I don't know, that might be the right word. So I've been applying. I applied like to Michael's, the craft store. I don't really want to go back to retail if I can avoid it, but if I have to, I will. So I applied to some of the craft stores here in town because I'm a very crafty person. I crochet all the time. So yeah. So now that it's been 2 weeks since I left, I've come to realize that I was right. It was just that I had started to hate working there with like a vehement passion, and that I was also right about the fact that I did not want to be unemployed. I just wanted a different job. I know that's not how it works, but I am now unemployed and looking for a different job, and hoping that I find something that I can excel at, because I feel like I excel most in a situation where it's like consistently stimulating, like mentally. Once it becomes boring is when I want to leave because I want something that's challenging. So I'm really praying about this next job that it's something that I love past when the newness wears off, which is what I just said. So thank you for listening to this if you did. If not, I understand. Okay, so I just remembered that I said I was going to show you the things that I had crocheted. Past in the last video, the come shopping with me one, I had finished Jack and Sally, and then I said I was going to show you Grumpy, so I'll try to look for a picture and put it here. And then I also made, you see Snoopy right there, right? Excuse me, Snoopy. And then I've also made Alice in Wonderland. Alice in Wonderland is what it's called, but I guess I would say Alice from Wonderland? I don't know. And then, did I show you guys this hat that I made for my cousin? I didn't like how it came out, so I took it apart and redid it, and it looks a lot nicer now. And like the middle seam here, this is like the navy colors, blue and gold. Navy blue, obviously, and gold. And then I don't think I've crocheted anything else other than that. So just Snoopy, Alice from Alice in Wonderland, and then I've made Grumpy, that's it. And then I bought, a while ago, I bought some like hand-dyed, hand-spun cotton yarn, I guess is what it would be, because it was on sale, and so I made some beanies out of that on the Centro, the knitting loom, and that's it, I guess. So I guess the video's over. Thank you for listening to me rant about the hellish job that I just left. There was one more event I wanted to tell you about, but it kind of felt irrelevant, but I think I'll throw it in here at the end. If you want to listen to this, you can. If not, the video is technically over. You can leave now. Okay, so I was behind the register, you know, because that was my job, cashier, ringing up these people, and I saw behind the customers in the floor, someone had dropped $20. And so I waited until I finished ringing them up in case someone else grabbed it, that they would have it, and then I wouldn't have to draw attention to it. And they didn't. So when my customers were like in the process of paying, you know, the receipt was printing out, I went around the register and I got the money and I brought it back around with me and I stuck it under the, we call them like drop slips, so we can document each time we take money out of the register, because it caps us off at $500 in cash. So I put it under the slip because I was going to pocket it after the customers left. Hear me out. The manager came up behind me and took the money and said, "What's this? Where'd you find this?" And I said, "Oh, I found it over there on the floor. I was going to keep it, but I wanted to wait till the customers left." And she's like, "Oh, well, I'm taking it to the office and I'm putting it in the safe." And I was like, I found that money. And like, granted, by all means, so the way that the register that I was on was, so the register that I found it by, the one in front of me, that store has 5 registers, and so register 3 is adjacent to the doors. So like the register, like a little walkway, like the hallway to get out of the store, and then the doors. The money was found in between the end of the register and the doors. Like a customer had dropped it. And when I was telling my mom about this on my lunch, I was like, "Mom, you know me, but I would have, if I found the money anywhere near the back of the register, I would have put it in the drawer. Because I have found money there before under like the foam mats that we stand on, and I've put it in the drawer because most likely it fell out of the drawer while the cashier was counting change and it just got under the carpet." And I told my mom, I'm so mad because she took the money that I rightfully found and I was going to keep it. So I asked the other manager, when that manager left and then the night manager was there, I asked her, like, hypothetically, if we found money, are we allowed to keep it? And she said no, because, you know, we keep it until the end of the night to see if any customer calls and claims it. I was like, okay, well, you know, that makes sense. And then she said if they don't claim it, we put it in an envelope in the safe and we use it to buy pizza for the store. And I was like, so theoretically the store is now closed. When I was asking her this, I could have kept it. And so I asked her, like, can I have it back? And she was like, no. And I was like, so you're admitting that you would keep the money, but I can't keep the money? And then, I kid you not, like 2 days later, that same manager that took the money from me to begin with and put it in the office, another customer had dropped money, and luckily he picked it back up. And she was like, oh, if you didn't see that, I was going to take it, and I was going to pocket it. And I was like, you're saying that if you dropped money, you would have kept it, but when I found money and I was going to keep it, you're taking it from me? Okay, that's very hypocritical of you, but, you know, whatever. And then so I just couldn't take it there anymore. So, but yeah, if I had found the money anywhere near the register, I would have put it in the drawer, even just to be safe, because the way the registers are is like, so register 5 is the one closest to the entrance, and then we have register 4, and then we have register 3 that all face the same direction. Okay, register 3 and 2, instead of facing like this, the same direction, register 2 faces this way. So this would be like the outside. The backs of the registers are together. And then register 1 also faces this way. Registers 3, 4, and 5 all face away from each other. Or I guess they face each other and these two face away. So there's like a little cubby behind the registers where we would be standing, right? So that's where I found the $5 that I did put in the drawer. So it irritated me so badly because I knew she was taking it to the office just to spite me, you know, because that's the kind of person she was. And so my mom was like, next time you find money, just put it in your pocket. Don't even say anything. And I was like, I can't do that, but I will, but I don't work there anymore, so now it doesn't matter. For some reason, the doorbell just rang, and it was much louder than it normally is. So this video is getting kind of long. I'm going to end it here. Thank you for watching. If you stayed to the very end, I really appreciate you. Thank you for listening to me rant. And it's been 2 weeks since I left my job, so I've had a lot of time to think about, you know, this and how I truly feel. And it hasn't changed. How I feel has not changed. I don't regret leaving. If I do, it's now for just the sake of now I don't have a job, and that's fine because I can get another job. So I'll be alright. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.